I've gone on record to talk about how I don't usually try games in different genres. Quite a surprise coming from me, I know. But yeah, my fighting game intake is mostly just Super Smash Bros., a collection of characters I already know and like duking it out. When I was a kid, I didn't want Need for Speed. I wanted to play Sonic Riders because it's a racing game, but with Sonic. I'm a bit of a franchise loyalist in that sense, which brings us to the topic of today's video. Any good mascot worth his salt is going to spin off into other genres, and that's how we get 1999's Crash Team Racing, the final Crash Bandicoot game developed by Naughty Dog. Not the last one on PS1, that's Crash Bash, but nobody cares about that one. I've owned CTR for a couple of years now, but I never bothered to sit down and play it. I mean, multiplayer games are best enjoyed with friends, so why sit down and play a racing games campaign myself when I can just do more DMC combos or something like that? I've had the idea to compare Crash and Spyro for some time now, but when I first conceived the idea, it would end on a normal CTR review after the remake comparison video. But since then, the world was given 2019's Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. Despite sharing the look of the Insane trilogy, it was developed by Beanox and rounded off the series of remakes before we got Crash 4, It's About Time. I think the act of rewriting the history of a franchise is a gamble not worth taking, but at the same time, Crash Bandicoot The Wrath of Cortex isn't really a hill I'm particularly keen to die on. But I do think that game is just kind of okay and not much more. But anyway, CTR came out when the PlayStation 2 was early in development, and like I mentioned in the Insane Reignited video, Naughty Dog was ready to cut ties with Universal and work directly with Sony on the new IP, Jak and Daxter. While that game was early in development, they decided to give the PS1 a final farewell with Crash Team Racing. That was the thing I noticed about this game right from booting it up. This game was such a big celebration of how Naughty Dog had launched from nothing to one of the biggest up-and-coming game devs of the late 90s with the Crash series. They created the first serious PlayStation mascot and built the world up game by game. And now 4 games into the series, and the hype behind the franchise is great enough to have a popular racing game spin-off that brings iconography back from all the previous games to honor how far they'd come in the years since Crash 1. But you know what I also thought was pretty interesting? Nitro Fueled wasn't just a remake of that celebration, it in and of itself was a celebration of Crash Bandicoot as a franchise. When the Insane trilogy came out, it was easy enough to think that maybe they'd try to wipe away the history of the Crash series and just be like, hey, here's the PS1 trilogy everyone likes. While I'm sure a lot of folks who sit in the different and therefore ruined camp would be happy about that, I'm all about history. I own multiple copies of Sly 4, even though it's the most disappointing game I've ever played. But anyway, I opened up Nitro Fueled for the first time, and I see that this game is clearly committed to getting the details right in a way that the Insane trilogy wasn't. Like the iconic CTR title screens here, only now Crash is clearly getting tired of holding this trophy for the longer you sit on the title screen. The Wumpa Fruit you collect actually goes into the icon, unlike the Insane trilogy. To honor the series' history as a kart racer, you not only have the tracks from Crash Team Racing remade in this game, but you have all the tracks from Crash Nitro Kart fully remade, minus the anti-gravity gimmick. You know, funny, that's actually how I got Nitro Fueled in the first place. I was at a retro shop and I saw Nitro Kart and wanted to buy it, and the clerk could not find the disc in the back, so he just gave me Nitro Fueled 30% off, which I was like, hell yeah. Once I open up the character roster, I see Nitro Fueled as the kind of game that will keep you busy for a long time, as there's a plethora of characters to unlock, and a lot of great customization options for your vehicle. But on the subject of the character roster, it just doesn't bring back the characters from CTR, which was just about every character you could have when Crash was just a 3-year-old franchise, like Crash, Coco, Cortex, Engine, Tiny, and so on. Now we have Crunch Bandicoot. He was the main villain turned ally introduced in Crash Bandicoot The Wrath of Cortex. Here's Entrance from the second GBA Crash game. Tawna from Crash 1 is playable, but the best part was that even as a small-time Crash fan, this got a laugh out of me. Rilla Roo, the character exclusive to Crash Bash, is also here. Similar to what Jak X and Ratchet Deadlock did in 2005, Spyro and Hunter from the Reignited trilogy are also playable. If you like anything Crash Bandicoot has ever been a part of, you'll enjoy this game, I feel. As it's CTR with more content than ever before, online multiplayer, more customization, and the list goes on. The game also plays well too. CTR is hailed as one of the greatest kart racers ever made, and I can totally see why. The game plays and controls like a dream, and CTR Nitro Fueled, while not being 1-to-1, feels really good to play on its own. The campaign is fully in there from the original game with much better presentation, as while CTR looks good for PS1, I would definitely say that Naughty Dog did a better job with Crash 2 and 3 presentation than this game. And Crash 1 was also earlier in the system's lifespan, so I guess that has more of an excuse. The main blemish upon CTR's presentation is the lip sync.
The dots and stars on the map represent warp pads, which lead to races.
All this is improved in CTR Nitro Fueled, as the story is beautifully reimagined with new cutscenes. The main concept of the game is that an alien called Nitrous Oxide has traveled to Earth and he challenges the best racer on any given planet to a race, and if you fail to beat him, he'll turn your entire world into a massive parking lot. Dun dun dun. But now it's up to Crash and Company to race and determine the best racer to find who will challenge Oxide. As yes, you can pick whichever character you want in the campaign and have either Aku Aku or Uka Uka supporting you. I just picked Crash because why not? He is the main character. It's a simple premise, but done a lot of justice in the remake. As I thought the cutscene animation was really good, but not as over the top to a distracting degree like the Insane Trilogy. And sorry, I don't mean to bash the Insane Trilogy into submission, as I don't hate the game with a passion. I respect the team that made it like I said last time, I just don't like it that much. But anyway, CTR Nitro Fueled also puts 2019's Team Sonic Racing to shame as well. Now if you want something I feel zero remorse for hating on, it's meta-era Sonic. I mean, Sonic has never had a moment's rest since 1991, and yet the best budget we can get for a 2019 racing game is a game with almost no content, laughably bad cutscene presentation for a series that had Riders 1 and 0 gravity. Hell, I thought freaking Free Riders looked more appealing. In the cutscene direction, not the gameplay, okay? And compare that to Crash Nitro Fueled with real cutscenes, more content than anyone ever asked for, and was Crash's second outing in the entire decade. And what you get is a clear as crystal case of two competing games when the choice of which one to buy is made. But as for the games themselves, it's kart racing, done well. Another reason I don't make a lot of videos in games that are, shall we say, out of my element, are because I don't have a whole lot to say on them at the end of the day. I thought the controls were buttery smooth, which is important for a racing game. It took me a little over 2 hours to complete the campaign of CTR, as you have to beat 4 races, and then challenge a sole driver that owns the area, get a key, progress to the next area, repeat 3 more times, then face off against Oxide. I thought the solo races spamming projectiles was kind of annoying, but not something I couldn't handle. The tracks start off really easy, but then escalate in challenge as they have more pits in areas like the Skyway or Cortex's Castle than in Crash Cove or Rouge Tubes ever did. Getting longer as the game goes on, with this stage in the mud being the absolute worst. But again, great controls can make up for a lot of that, as both CTRs are defined by the power slide mechanic, which I found to be more difficult to pull off on the remake consistently than the original, but when I did, it was really satisfying. It's a timing challenge related to drifting and boosting that just adds a layer of depth to the mechanics while you're racing, while also dealing with your enemies, projectiles, and stage obstacles. There's also a satisfying boost mechanic that comes from maximizing your airtime when jumping. If you're stuck with any of these mechanics, Aku Aku will help you out with tips in between stages with a full hub area to practice the mechanics between races. Which is certainly something I think Jack X could have used more of. Creating a game that is definitely a kart racer I could see myself going back to a lot in the future for some fast-paced fun with friends. And seriously, that's all I have to say for these games. 2 really solid kart racers that I enjoyed playing and found a lot of love for the celebratory aspect of the games in their respective points in the series. As for which is better, now that's an interesting question. CTR is the original, the final ND Crash game, but Nitro Fueled also has more content and is more accessible for modern audiences, releasing on all the big platforms except Steam as of August 2020. I could take either one, but I think Nitro Fueled wins in content, but CTR wins in the fact that it doesn't have in-game purchases to make people mad about. Yeah, microtransactions. I know a lot of people have big issues with this, and I certainly don't blame you. It's not good to give a company like Activision even an inch when it comes to taking advantage of consumers. It's loyalty to a publisher like Activision because they had, quote, love for the fans to bring back these beloved icons that gets us screwed over in the end. However, to me, a good game is a good game, removed from any outside drama. Like, one day those servers will be down, and CTR Nitro Fueled will still be a good game with a lot of content and love poured into it. I'm just not going to buy any of this microtransaction stuff. Devil May Cry 5 allegedly has microtransactions, and I've been playing that game religiously for over a year. It's one of my favorite games of all time, and I've never seen nor paid for a single microtransaction. So I'd be a liar for saying it has any bearing on what I thought of Nitro Fueled. Having said that, though, that brings my look at the classic Crash and Spyro games to a close. Like I said, it was fun to revisit Crash again and finally give Spyro a shot, as well as being able to share my frustrations with Insane, give Reignited a go, and play both versions of CTR for the first time. Originally, the plan was to keep this Versus angle going for Jak and Ratchet, but while I still want to look at the PSP games in that style, the Versus arrangement didn't really work out like I had hoped it would. For that reason, whenever I get to them, I'm going to give Jak and Daxter and Ratchet and Clank each the game-by-game analysis that both franchises deserve. Jak and Ratchet are no Sly Cooper, but I don't intend on revisiting those Jay's Reviews classic games that often, so I really want to get those videos right. But anyway, that's enough rambling. That ends today's quick video. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.